When you lose a pet, there's many different ways you can choose to memorialize them. Some folks opt to bring their fallen companion home for a backyard burial. Many people, much like I'm sure some of you have done, opt for cremation and store the ashes in various urns. Others choose another route, the age-old pet cemetery.
How's your cat, Lois?
Jelly's cat.
No. It's your cat now.
Now, despite all the pop culture references to pet cemeteries aside, if you've ever been to one, you know that these pets were very loved and cared for. What people don't realize is that pet cemeteries do not have the same protections as human cemeteries do. Depending on what state you're in, somebody who owns one could decide one day to bulldoze all the headstones and put up a Dollar General. And it might surprise you that things like this happen more often than you think. But today's story is not about putting up invasive dollar stores over Fido's gravesite. It's about a newfound cemetery owner who told an entire Tennessee town to come get their pets.
Now, we're from Maine, and at first mention, one might get some Stephen King vibes here, but no. Most pet cemeteries across America aren't going to resurrect your pet into some evil being that acts a little dead. But what happens when your pet's final resting place becomes forgotten to the groundskeeper or unwanted to the cemetery owner? That brings us to the topic of today's story, which has been unfolding over the last 2 years.
On December 1st of 2023, a small pet cemetery took social media by storm in the northern Tennessee town of Gallatin. Pet Rest Memorial Garden, which is now closed for new burials, angered hundreds of pet lovers in Appalachia who paid for headstones to memorialize their late companions. Local Debbie Trisdale told News Channel 5 Nashville that she now has trouble locating the final resting places of several of her cats that had been buried on the property.
The cat adopted us, and we adopted him.
Debbie Trisdale's childhood pet,
TC, which stood for Tomcat.
One of 8 cats she and her good friend are trying to track down in this pet cemetery in Gallatin.
It's hard not being able to find them. Our pets don't matter. That's the message that was sent to me.
Now, a chill in the air as Debbie suddenly,
yay,
finds what she's looking for.
Now, I've seen a lot of pet cemeteries in my day, and many look just like the one in the video we just played for you. The grounds, to me, didn't look terribly overgrown, and if I'm going to be completely honest, there is some onus on the pet owner to make sure their pets' graves are upkept. The same goes for human cemeteries. I can't expect St. Peter Cemetery here in Lewiston to make sure that my meme's grave doesn't have sticks and leaves on it. I make sure that upkeep is done when I go visit, but what about when stones go missing?
Donna Thornton arrived at Pet Rest Memorial Gardens in a panic, searching desperately for her 3 cats' headstones. Smokey, Sable, and Sweet Pea were all buried here. Each plot, casket, and funeral, Donna says, cost around $500.
Ridiculous. My cats, I had them 3 years, 8 years, and 16 years. I wanted to give them a decent resting place.
Donna isn't the only one who told us they couldn't find their pet's headstone. While many markers are covered with grass and weeds, cemetery owner Michael Bartley told me over the phone he mows the grass every week and has never moved any headstones. Donna isn't so sure.
I paid for that. They should have at least notified us. There was no notification.
Despite several dumpsters on the property.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, this is disrespectful.
Bartley tells me he doesn't intend to sell, though he isn't doing any new burials or making any money through the cemetery. He tells people like Donna who can't find their markers to contact him, and he'll help them find it. That's just what Donna intends to do.
Yeah, because this is adjacent to a people's cemetery. I wanted to be put over here, right next to my pets.
Either that, or she vows to dig up her pets and cremate.
And put them somewhere where they're going to be safe.
Now, even though Michael Bartley said he didn't intend to sell the property, he did. According to a Facebook post by News Channel 5 Nashville's Nick Barris, the property was on its 3rd owner, who was local businessman Benjamin Patton. Patton is the owner of 615 Self-Storage Boat and RV, and he uses some of the existing buildings in the cemetery for his business. And in our opinion, he's not a nice guy. According to Google, Patton has labeled his business as the self-proclaimed most popular storage business in Sumner County. We're not kidding. After citizens of Sumner County became concerned that the grave site for the county's first canine police dog, Bruno, was in disrepair and might be plowed over due to construction, the new owner had a little meltdown on social media. Patton took to Facebook to post this rant in the group Hip Gallatin, which reads, "On behalf of the pet cemetery located north of Gallatin, please come and collect your pets from the property. Remove them. Management has been chastised with lies and deceit, misinformation, etc., stating that construction is compromising the existing pet cemetery. You all have publicly asked for this. I'm intolerant of your lies about what is going on this property. Given such, I am canceling the cemetery. Come and I am canceling the cemetery." What a phrase. "Come and remove your animals." Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, this caused quite a stir in town.
For pet owners like Tissa McCormick, this cemetery holds more than just memories.
Tippy, she was my first dog.
Her family has 7 pets buried here.
She was part of our family.
So when this post from property owner Benjamin Patton started circulating online, saying the cemetery was canceled and pet owners should come remove their animals, it shook families. I reached out to Ben Patton asking why he made that post. He told me it was in response to false claims that he was destroying the cemetery. He says he's not. Then he went on to say, "Come and get your pets if you're going to lie." Sumner County officials confirm there is no construction happening on top of the cemetery, but the director of planning and engineering say they did find a separate violation. A creek buffer on the property was cleared without a permit. They say they plan to talk with Patton by the end of the week. Sumner County officials say this pet cemetery must be preserved. Any change would require approval from commissioners, and they do not expect that to happen.
But on February 22nd, Patton continued with, in our opinion, his childish antics with this post, an update on the pet cemetery at 615 Self-Storage in Gallatin, Tennessee. "We have new inventory for everyone to rent." The post accompanied pictures of shovels and padded helmets, and of course, because Patton can't handle the pushback he's receiving, he's limited who could comment. He's even going off about wanting to sue the 2 people who left him bad reviews on Google. Honestly, after all of this, he's really lucky that it's only 2 people.
Most residents have been understandably outraged, but others seem to be siding with the owner's petty behavior. One resident, Kathy, penned the following empathetic post, and I'm going to try to do my best Kathy voice for you. And I quote, "I don't blame the owner, and if people are so concerned about the upkeep, they would do their part on keeping it clean instead of griping. Now look at what your childish comments have gotten you. If some of you spent as much time being constructive as you do complaining, things would turn out better." Now, that hurt my voice, but anyway. Now, you'd think that this drama might be a one-off thing, but you couldn't be more wrong. While researching the cemetery, I typed Gallatin Pet Cemetery in my Google search bar, hoping to find some news clips, but that's not all I found. Instead, I found video after video of pet cemeteries shuttering across the country, and pet owners in distress not knowing what to do. Take, for example, this story out of Michigan.
It was just about a month ago we were here at the Heavenly Acre Pet Cemetery. There was snow on the ground back then. And at the time there was a lot of uncertainty about who owned the property and what might happen to the animals, the pets that have been buried back here. Well, today we have a little bit more certainty.
Betty Stewart of Brighton vividly remembers her late husband burying their beloved Doberman Duchess this time of year.
When we took her out to Heavenly Acres, we went down in the pines, and he buried her in that frozen dirt. And she's been there since 1980.
Then 11 years ago, Betty buried her German Shepherd Casey Joe at Heavenly Pines, a dog her grandson adored. And now she wants to know what is going on out there at Kellogg Road. Well, there's now a no trespassing sign posted accompanying the old business sign. The old kennel and crematorium buildings are vacant. We now know it's owned by a Chicago real estate firm called Carroll Street Park Ridge that scooped up the 12-acre property out of foreclosure. Through its local attorney's office, it put out this statement, quote, "We are sensitive to the concerns of everyone who has a pet buried on the property. Carroll Street intends to market the property for sale with the hope of a sale to persons or entities willing to continue to maintain the pet cemetery. However, the future use of the property will ultimately be determined by the new owner, end quote. Betty is deeply troubled how the Heavenly Acres dissolution is playing out.
I can't believe it's happening. I'm still holding out that their resting places will be respected.
The name of this place is Heavenly Acres, but if you look behind me here, the dilapidated building, the overgrown grass, you realize that, well, it's not heavenly anymore. And in fact, it's in the middle of a legal battle that is absolutely heartbreaking for the people who buried their pets here.
Oh, it's horrible.
Amy and John Banfield buried Licorice here a few years ago. Today, they came on a sad mission.
I'd like to find Licorice's grave, and I wanted to mark it in hopes that maybe we could have the cemetery come out and exhume his body for us.
They both have mounting health issues preventing them from doing the digging themselves.
This dog was her support when I was going through cancer and lung disease and heart problems and everything.
Heavenly Acres ended up owned by a Chicago real estate firm, having assumed a deed in lieu of foreclosure, and when a lease ran out last year, the place closed. The transition has been anything but smooth. The company, Carroll Street, through its Livingston County attorney, is giving owners small windows to claim their pets or lose any claim of them. The Banfields haven't received a letter just yet, but they aren't waiting.
He was really good to us. We really kind of want to take care of him. We thought when we buried him here, he was going to be here forever.
He was loyal to us, and I'd like to remain loyal to him.
The no trespassing sign stopped them. In the meantime, others have been looking for long-lost headstones, unable to find them under overgrown grass, and John's worried about what happens even if they do.
And who knows what we're going to find when we dig them up. I mean, we may not find anything.
The Banfields did receive a bit of good news today. They were told that they can have a company come in on Saturday and remove their beloved Licorice from the cemetery. But there's going to be a court hearing on all of this tomorrow.
Or this story out of South Carolina.
Pets are like family for Anthony Snellwar, remembered in these pictures and memorialized in these graves.
I just always felt better about burying my pets rather than cremating them. Just burning something just kind of gave me a weird feeling.
During the last decade, he buried 4 dogs with a personalized headstone marking their graves at a pet cemetery on Johns Island.
The thought that someday somebody might dig them up doesn't cross your mind.
But in December, the family received this letter. The cemetery was closing.
You lay your loved one to rest with the expectation that they're not going to be ever disturbed.
See, new owners, Chucktown Charlie, bought the land and didn't plan to continue the pet cemetery. No law requires them to do so. They offered to return the headstones at no cost and refunded Anthony $650 for one pet burial they conducted. But it didn't sit right with Anthony.
She took responsibility for the dogs when she bought the cemetery.
Anthony's previous 3 dogs were buried before Chucktown Charlie took ownership of the land and started the doggy daycare. The owners declined a taped interview, but sent a statement reading, Chucktown Charlie has operated as a lodging, training, play care, and grooming facility only. And because the relationship with Anthony has soured, documented in these sheriff's reports, they said he wasn't allowed back on the property. The access to the grounds of the pre-existing non-operational pet cemetery were closed for the safety and well-being of the pets in our care, our customers, and our staff. It appears there's little recourse. In New York, where Anthony's from, pet cemeteries are inspected and regulated by the state, and state law requires a license to operate. The land is also protected. But here, according to the South Carolina Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation, there are no laws for pet cemeteries and no oversight of their operation.
I was hoping that this was going to be a permanent resting place. I never in my wildest dreams expected that something like this would happen so soon.
I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm going to keep my pet's ashes at home in my Billy bookcase rather than in some pet cemetery that some weirdo might buy up.